Hey guys, our day started early today. We are already here at Tikal National Park. We're going to visit some incredible pyramid structures that are here in the north, Guatemala.
And the tour starts at approximately 8 a.m. and goes until noon, which is about 4 hours of tour. And the guide was explaining to us that if we wanted to know entire complex, it would take about 2 days. So for you to have an idea of how large this complex is, we will see a small part of it, the most important sections, but I think it will be really cool.
And our guide was explaining to us a bit about the history of this tree here. It is called ceiba, and it is a national symbol here in Guatemala. And it has a very important meaning for the Maya, because he was explaining that this tree connects the upper world with the underworld, which connects the ground here with the sky. And to visit the entire Tikal complex, everyone has to pay, in addition to the tour price, an entrance fee of 150 quetzals, which is the price for foreigners, roughly 100 reis. And this ticket price can be paid here at the entrance, or it can also be purchased online. Reached the twin pyramids. One is visible and restored, offering views of Gran Jaguar. The other is hidden under dirt. This was a Mayan city site, built over 20 years. Offerings were placed in rounded structures. The Mayans leveled the ground for construction. This was a pyramid that has been restored, which is why we can see it almost in perfect condition. There's another one next to me that we can't see because it's completely covered in dirt and vegetation. The guide was explaining to us that this whole complex was part of a Mayan city, and these two structures were built over 20 years. This pyramid here is one of the few that we can actually climb, and from the top we can see the other pyramid, which is the most important one, called Gran Jaguar. We're going to climb up there and show you. And look how cool these rounded structures are. The guide was explaining to us that these were the places where all the offerings were placed. This whole area we're in now is very flat because the Mayans leveled the ground for the construction of the city. So over here we have one of the twin temples, and here we have the other one, which hasn't been restored and is buried under the earth. And we have several other representations, like that one over there. It's really beautiful. And we have a variety of several different other representations, options and alternatives, like such as the one you can see right over there. And the guide was explaining to us that in this place where all these trees are, they were supposed to be the other pair of this pyramid. But it wasn't restored like the other one because of the costs, which are very expensive to restore, and not just the restoration cost, but also the maintenance costs of the pyramids are really high. Some structures here in the temple are still in the recovery phase, like this one behind me. And what's interesting is that the first stones were cut in a very organized way, while the stones behind were untreated. So up there, we can see this differentiation, and the construction of this type of temple started with this base, which in the case of this temple here is about 150 meters. and then they would build above the base. As if just joining the stones wasn't enough, they needed to use something that would act like glue to hold the stones together. So they would take sap from certain specific trees to create a kind of cement mortar that could really hold everything together. And at the peak of the city's construction, people cut down so many trees in the area that scientists discovered there was a historic drought. So it was something very important, and that could have been, according to some historians, the decline of Maya society. And now we've climbed to the highest temple here in Tikal. And look, it's really tall. From here we can see at least other temples behind us. This area that we've just arrived at is one of the oldest here in the complex. And this temple behind me dates back to at least 350 years before Christ, and it was used for marriage ceremonies when important people from outside would come and marry native people from the city. The architecture used in this temple is also a bit different from others in the same complex. And these features were brought in from other Maya city complexes around this region that we're in.
So this shows the cultural and commercial exchange that these civilizations had with each other.
Now we're heading to the main square, here, where the main ceremonies took place, and still happen to this day. Our guide was saying that on October 12th, the main celebration takes place in this square. Mainly the native peoples from this region come together to hold a celebration here, which is really interesting. Unfortunately, it only happens once a year, the way it does. But it's a reason, a way for them to celebrate this indigenous culture that is still present here. After getting lost and going around in circles through places we had already passed, we finally arrived at one of the places we really wanted to visit, which is this temple here, one of the main highlights in videos on the internet about Guatemala and its temples. This is the main one. Luckily, we managed to find it. And now we've arrived at this square, which is the main square. We're in the Tikal Temple complex. And behind us is the most famous temple, which is called the Grand Jaguar.
And this is where all the main ceremonies of the time took place. So important people would come and carry out various activities here. In fact, even today, the native peoples here in the region celebrate various commemorative dates at this location, but especially on October 12th, they celebrate all the indigenous commemorative aspects of the region.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of our upcoming adventures. If you want to learn more about Guatemala and everything this destination has to offer, we've prepared a complete ebook with everything you need to know before coming to the country, and the link is in the description of this video.